Sometimes people underestimate us. They think they can manipulate, belittle, or control us because they assume we're too attached, too afraid, or too dependent to leave. They confuse our kindness for weakness, our patience for complacency, and our loyalty for submission. But they forget that even the gentlest hearts can carry a storm within them. Walking away isn't always easy, it requires courage and strength. It's the moment when you stop tolerating behavior that diminishes your self worth. They didn't see it coming, they thought they could break you, but you were stronger than their games and wiser than their manipulation. You walked away, leaving behind their arrogance, breaking their ego, and reclaiming your peace. The truth is, not every battle requires you to stay and fight. Sometimes walking away is the ultimate act of self respect. It's a statement that says, I value my dignity more than staying in a situation that doesn't honor me. Walking away doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're brave enough to recognize when something no longer serves you. And when you break someone's ego by leaving, it's not about revenge. It's a reminder that respect is a two-way street. And when it's denied, the exit becomes your liberation. So, to anyone who has ever underestimated your strength, remember you owe it to yourself to choose your well being over their pride. Walk away with your head held high, knowing you've just taken a step closer to the life you truly deserve. Walking away is often misunderstood as giving up or running away from a problem. In reality, it requires immense inner strength and resilience. It's a conscious choice to prioritize your well being and stand firm in your values. Staying in a situation where you are disrespected or undervalued may seem easier because it avoids immediate confrontation, but it comes at the cost of your self-respect and peace of mind. True strength lies in recognizing when a situation is no longer serving you and having the courage to detach, despite the emotional ties or societal expectations that may urge you to stay. Walking away isn't a sign of weakness, it's a powerful declaration of self-worth. It shows that you value yourself enough to seek a healthier and more fulfilling path, even if it means leaving behind what feels familiar. It's an act of self-preservation and personal empowerment. Ego-driven individuals thrive on control, often using manipulation or dominance to maintain their sense of superiority. Their ego is fueled by the belief that others are dependent on them, too timid to resist or too invested to walk away. This creates a sense of entitlement, where they assume that people will endure mistreatment to maintain the relationship or avoid conflict. When you walk away without hesitation, it shatters this illusion of control. It's a direct challenge to the power their ego thrives on, forcing them to confront the reality that they cannot manipulate everyone into compliance. Their ego feeds on the assumption that you'll stay, tolerate, or accept less than you deserve, but leaving strips them of that power. This act is powerful because it's not about confrontation or argument, it's about taking decisive action. By removing yourself from their control, you force them to see that their behavior doesn't define you or your choices. Walking away highlights their inability to dominate or manipulate, delivering a blow to their ego and leaving them to grapple with their loss of control. Kindness is often misunderstood and underestimated. Many people mistake it for a lack of strength or assertiveness, believing that someone who is kind will endlessly endure mistreatment or allow themselves to be taken advantage of. This misconception comes from the false belief that kindness means sacrificing personal boundaries or tolerating disrespect. In reality, true kindness stems from a place of inner strength and confidence. It's a choice to treat others with empathy and compassion, even when circumstances make it difficult. However, being kind does not mean being a doormat. When you choose to walk away, it's a powerful reminder that kindness has its limits. Walking away demonstrates that while you may have been patient, forgiving, and understanding, you also recognize your own value. It signals that you are not afraid to withdraw your kindness when it's no longer appreciated or reciprocated. In doing so, you show that being kind is not the same as being weak, and that you have the strength to prioritize your own well-being when faced with toxic behavior. This act not only preserves your dignity but also forces others to confront the truth that kindness isn't a license for exploitation. It's a reminder that respect is mutual and that those who mistake kindness for weakness will ultimately face the consequences of their actions. When you walk away from a toxic or unhealthy situation, you disrupt a cycle that may have gone on for far too long. Patterns of disrespect, manipulation, or emotional control often persist because they go unchallenged. These behaviors become normalized when people stay and tolerate them, creating an unspoken agreement that such treatment is acceptable. By leaving, you break that pattern and send a clear message: enough is enough. You're no longer willing to participate in a dynamic where your boundaries are ignored or your value is diminished. This act of walking away is not just a physical separation, it's a declaration that you will no longer contribute to or accept the behavior that has been perpetuating the unhealthy relationship. Breaking these patterns also shifts the perspective of those involved. It forces the other person to confront the impact of their actions and challenges their assumptions about their ability to control or dominate. They are left to reckon with the void you've created, one that disrupts their cycle of behavior and may even spark self-reflection. In stepping away, you also pave the way for personal healing and growth. You stop feeding into toxic cycles and instead create space for healthier dynamics, whether with others or within yourself. It's a transformative act, showing that patterns of mistreatment can and must be broken, and sometimes all it takes is the courage to walk away. When people operate from a place of ego, they often rely on predictability to maintain their sense of superiority and control. They expect you to respond in ways they've anticipated, whether it's staying quiet, accepting mistreatment, or attempting to appease them. This assumption is rooted in their belief that you won't have the boldness to disrupt the dynamic by walking away. When you choose to leave without hesitation, it becomes an act of unpredictable boldness that catches them completely off guard. They are left reeling, not because you argued or retaliated, but because you removed yourself entirely from their control. This unpredictability shatters their illusions of dominance and forces them to confront a reality they didn't foresee. They don't hold the power they assumed they did. This unpredictability is impactful because it's silent but definitive. It isn't loud or dramatic, but it speaks volumes. It shows that you are in control of your own life and choices, and you're not bound by their expectations or manipulation. The element of surprise lies in your decisiveness and clarity. It's a power they didn't anticipate, and it's one they can't easily recover from. In walking away, you redefine the dynamic and prove that their sense of superiority was built on a false foundation. You reclaim the power they believed they held over you, and in doing so, you demonstrate the strength of being bold, decisive, and unafraid to choose yourself over their ego. Walking away is not just about leaving a situation, it's an empowering act of reclaiming control over your life and asserting your right to peace and fulfillment. It's a declaration that you are no longer willing to let someone else's actions or words dictate your self-worth or emotional well-being. Empowerment comes from recognizing that you have choices. Staying in a toxic dynamic may feel like the path of least resistance, but it keeps you tethered to a cycle of negativity. Leaving, on the other hand, is a conscious decision to prioritize your growth and happiness. It signifies that you value yourself enough to refuse to settle for anything less than what you deserve. This empowerment doesn't just stem from the act of leaving, but also from the realization of your inner strength. It's about knowing that you can face the uncertainty that comes with change because your well-being is worth more than any comfort found in unhealthy familiarity. By walking away, you reclaim the narrative of your life, taking control of your story and the kind of relationships you allow in it. Every step you take away from toxicity is a step toward freedom, self-discovery, and healing. This empowerment radiates in all areas of your life, inspiring confidence, resilience, and a deeper understanding of your worth. Walking away is not just an ending, it's a powerful new beginning that sets the stage for better opportunities, healthier connections, and a stronger you. Walking away and breaking someone's ego isn't about seeking revenge or teaching them a lesson. It's about prioritizing your own well-being and refusing to engage in an unhealthy dynamic. Revenge often involves staying entangled in negative energy, attempting to win or hurt the other person emotionally. However, walking away rises above this mentality. It shifts the focus from them to you, your growth, peace, and future. The act of leaving doesn't need to be vindictive. It's a quiet but powerful statement that says you refuse to stay in a situation where your value isn't recognized. It's a way of showing strength and self-respect without stooping to their level or prolonging conflict. The impact on their ego is not the goal, it's a byproduct of your decision to choose yourself over their manipulation or dominance. By walking away with grace, you demonstrate maturity and clarity. You show that your happiness doesn't depend on their validation and that you're not trapped by the need to retaliate. This leaves them with the weight of their actions and forces them to confront the consequences of their behavior. Focusing on yourself rather than revenge allows you to move forward without bitterness. It frees you from the emotional burden of resentment and opens the door to healing and growth. Walking away is ultimately about reclaiming your power not to harm the other person, but to create a better, more fulfilling life for yourself. Toxic or damaging relationship, you set an example that reverberates beyond your own situation. By choosing to prioritize your mental, emotional, and physical well-being, you show others that it's possible to break free from patterns of mistreatment or control. In doing so, you create a model for courage, self-respect, and healthy boundaries that others can learn from. Many people stay in unhealthy relationships simply because they feel trapped or uncertain about their ability to make a change. Your decision to leave without hesitation demonstrates that there is always the possibility of reclaiming control, even when it seems daunting. It offers a beacon of hope to those who might be in similar circumstances, showing them that they can walk away and choose a path that aligns with their values and desires. Your strength in walking away may give others the courage to do the same, helping them break free from the chains of fear, guilt, or dependency. You model what it looks like to set boundaries, stand firm in your worth, and walk toward personal freedom no matter how hard it may be in the moment. Furthermore, by walking away without seeking revenge or bitterness, you demonstrate the power of self-regulation and emotional intelligence. You show that leaving doesn't have to be a dramatic, contentious act. It can be a peaceful, deliberate choice that speaks to the importance of living authentically and choosing self-respect above all else. In setting this example, you don't just change your own life, you inspire a ripple effect that empowers others to step into their own power, break free from unhealthy relationships, and ultimately create a more positive and empowering environment for themselves and those around them. Choosing to walk away from a toxic or emotionally draining situation is often a path to greater peace. While it may initially feel like a step into the unknown, it is, in reality, a powerful decision to remove yourself from chaos and reclaim tranquility. Staying in a situation where constant conflict, manipulation, or mistreatment exists can chip away at your sense of self and overall peace of mind. Walking away, however, is a deliberate act of finding and holding on to your inner calm, even when faced with uncertainty. This choice is an act of self-preservation. It is the recognition that peace is more valuable than the turmoil that comes from staying in a relationship or situation that continuously disrupts your emotional and mental stability. When you remove yourself from the chaos, you create the space needed for healing, reflection, and renewal. It is in this space of peace that personal growth begins to flourish, allowing you to realign your life with your true values and goals. Choosing peace doesn't mean running away from challenges or avoiding discomfort. It means consciously deciding not to tolerate the ongoing negativity or toxicity in a particular dynamic. It's about understanding that you have the power to decide what you expose yourself to, and you deserve a life of serenity, joy, and fulfillment. In walking away, you not only reclaim your peace, but you also put your well-being first. It's an acknowledgement that no amount of external conflict or tension is worth compromising your own mental and emotional health. And as you step into the tranquility of this choice, you leave behind a life that was once defined by chaos and enter a new chapter where peace and balance become your guiding forces. In conclusion, walking away is not an act of defeat. It is a powerful, transformative decision rooted in self-respect, courage, and inner strength. It shatters illusions of control, sets boundaries, and frees you from toxic cycles that hinder your growth and happiness. Walking away reflects a commitment to protecting your peace, valuing your worth, and prioritizing your well-being above the egos or manipulative tactics of others. While it may be difficult or uncomfortable at first, walking away paves the way for healing, empowerment, and ultimately a life that aligns more closely with your true desires. It is a reminder that you have the power to choose your own path and to create the space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships in the future. Never underestimate the strength in walking away, for it is often the bravest and most liberating thing you can do for yourself. There are moments in life when we reach a point of clarity, a realization that something has run its course. For some, this realization comes as a slow burn, a growing discomfort that something is off. For others, it happens in an instant, like a flash of lightning cutting through the darkness. The moment when we finally recognize that we can no longer afford to tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or a toxic environment. And in that moment, we make a decision that changes everything, not just for ourselves, but for the other person involved as well. There's a certain power in walking away, a power that goes beyond the surface. It's not just about leaving a situation behind, it's about reclaiming your own strength. It's about saying, without words, that your peace, your worth, and your happiness are more important than continuing to settle for less than you deserve. For some people, they might never understand why you left. They didn't know you had the strength, the clarity, and the courage to walk away without hesitation. And here's the thing, they didn't expect it. They assumed you'd tolerate it. Maybe they thought that your kindness, your patience, or your loyalty meant you'd never break free. They relied on you to be there, to put up with them, to endure, because they took for granted your unwavering nature. But they underestimated you because you had a strength they didn't know existed inside you. When you walked away, it wasn't about seeking revenge, making a point, or proving something. It was simply an act of protecting yourself. By walking away, you broke their ego, not out of malice, but because their control over you was based on false assumptions. The truth is, they were never in control. The moment you chose to walk away, you took that power back. You didn't engage in drama or waste your time trying to change their mind. You simply made the choice to walk, leaving behind all the toxicity that once had a hold on you. Their ego may have been bruised, but in that there was freedom. Because by walking away, you liberated yourself. You walked away without hesitation, and in doing so, you demonstrated a deep understanding of your own worth. This decision doesn't come easily. It's never easy to leave behind something or someone you invested in. But real strength doesn't come from staying in places that hurt us. Real strength comes from knowing when it's time to move on, when to let go, and when to stand firm in the truth that you deserve better. Walking away is an act of self-love, an affirmation that you deserve peace, respect, and joy. And sometimes that means stepping away from the very things or people that think they have control over you. So when they didn't know you'd walk away without hesitation, what you proved is that your peace, your happiness, and your life are too precious to let anyone or anything break your spirit. You didn't walk away because you couldn't take it anymore. You walked away because you knew you were worth more. And that is the power no ego can ever diminish. Walking away from a situation or person who no longer aligns with your values is deeply rooted in a recognition of your own worth. There comes a time when, after much thought, personal reflection, and perhaps even struggle, you realize that your peace and happiness should never be compromised by anything or anyone. This realization is the foundation for many decisions in life, but walking away marks one of the most powerful expressions of self-respect and self-love. To realize your worth means to understand that you deserve respect, love, and peace in every facet of your life. When you've invested time, energy, or emotions into a relationship, project, or even a friendship, it's easy to justify staying even when you're no longer receiving the same in return. We often make excuses for others, hold on to the past or what used to be, or even blame ourselves for things we cannot control. However, the moment you recognize your value, you understand that staying in a situation that drains you or undermines your sense of self is not a choice you're willing to make anymore. The idea of worth is often not just about material things, it goes beyond possessions or titles. It's about acknowledging that you as a person deserve peace, balance, and joy in your life. Too often we get caught up in pleasing others, worrying about what will happen if we leave, or letting fear hold us back from making a change. This fear can come in many forms: fear of abandonment, fear of being alone, or fear of not being enough. But in that moment of clarity, when you truly know your worth, you shed those fears because you understand that being true to yourself means letting go of anything that diminishes you. Knowing your worth is not an egotistical act, it's an act of self-preservation and protection. The person who genuinely understands their value is often not the one seeking validation from others or constantly proving themselves. Instead, they seek the kind of environment and relationships where their worth is recognized and reciprocated. When you walk away without hesitation, you affirm that you have the strength to step away from situations that make you feel less than. It's not about the other person or situation, it's about you. Your decision to leave isn't an attack on anyone else's character or ego, but a statement of the respect you have for yourself. Recognizing your worth also empowers you to make decisions that protect your emotional and mental well-being. In the past, you might have been the person to stay out of a sense of duty, fear of judgment, or even out of guilt. But as you grow and come to understand the impact that relationships and environments have on your well-being, you begin to shift your thinking. Your needs and your boundaries are not less important than anyone else's. By walking away, you're making a clear choice to prioritize your own peace and future over temporary comfort or fear. Ultimately, knowing your worth means not allowing anyone, situation, or environment to define your value. It means standing firmly in the truth that you are deserving of a life that honors and uplifts you, not one that depletes or holds you back. Walking away isn't always easy. But when you make this choice, you're not leaving something behind, you're stepping towards something far better, the life you truly deserve. In that space of self-recognition, you begin to flourish and make room for opportunities and relationships that respect, honor, and value you just as you value yourself. The decision to walk away is often not made in haste, but rather arises out of a growing sense of clarity. When we find ourselves in situations where our happiness, peace, or sense of self is compromised, the weight of this dissatisfaction begins to accumulate over time. Initially, we might dismiss our feelings, rationalize the discomfort, or convince ourselves that things will improve. But eventually, there comes a moment when the fog lifts and we see things for what they truly are. This moment of clarity is powerful because it clears away confusion and doubt, giving us the strength to take action. The clarity that comes from realizing a situation is no longer right for us brings with it an undeniable truth: something needs to change. This isn't always easy to face, as often it requires us to confront harsh realities about our relationships, our job, or our own fears. Walking away in the face of this realization is not an impulsive act, it's a conscious decision fueled by a deep understanding that staying would only further harm or drain us. The moment of clarity is when we no longer feel torn between what's comfortable and what we know is right for our well-being. It is when the weight of emotional or mental strain becomes undeniable and pushes us to make a change, no matter how daunting that change might feel at the time. 2. When you make the bold decision to walk away from a toxic or damaging relationship, you set an example that reverberates beyond your own situation. By choosing to prioritize your mental, emotional, and physical well-being, you show others that it's possible to break free from patterns of mistreatment or control. In doing so, you create a model for courage, self-respect, and healthy boundaries that others can learn from.